Hey there, this is a video covering Multistreamer version 10.2.2, which I just put out. It has few cool new features from my last video. My last video was 9.0.0, so I'm excited to cover a few new features today. This video is going to be an overview on every single part of Multistreamer. So Multistreamer is an open source web app for publishing video to multiple services at the same time. You can simulcast to Twitch, YouTube, Mixer, formerly known as Beam, and you can use it to push video to Facebook, but with the caveat that it is against the terms of service to simulcast to Facebook and other third-party video streaming sites. You are allowed to simulcast to sites you own, and there is a custom RTMP output for that. So you are allowed to make a simulcast to Facebook and a custom RTMP to your own thing. You're not supposed to use it with Facebook and YouTube or Facebook and Twitch. So please don't do that. But yeah, so let's go ahead and just, this is kind of the main overview / concepts. This video is not on how to install Multistreamer on your own machine. I do have a separate video for that. I'll have a link in the description on how to install it with Docker. It's pretty straightforward. And yeah, so let's see here, the overview. So when you log into Multistreamer, you get to this first page, which I just refer to as the index page, main page. There's 3 sections on this page. There's a section for streams, a section for accounts, and a section for how to connect with IRC. And the overall idea is a stream is just a group of accounts that you want to stream to at the same time. You can make as many as you like. You can make you can have any combination of accounts on streams. Like you can reuse accounts on multiple streams if you want. It's really, it's pretty much up to you. However, basically each stream is a new stream key. So whatever you think is the best way to organize your things, like if you just want to have one stream that you just come into and update all the time, you can do that. If you want to make a bunch of streams for different, situations, you can do that too. Really up to you, whatever works best for you. And then you have accounts, and accounts are just your accounts with different streaming services. You add them to Multistreamer by clicking these links down here sorry. So you can just click add new Facebook, add new Mixer, add new Twitch, add new YouTube, or add a custom RTMP, and that will pull you up to that service where you click a link authorizing that you want to allow Multistreamer to use your account, and then once you click that, you'll be back here and you should see the account listed. You can also add accounts like while you're editing streams, and we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, that's the basic overall concept. I'll go over IRC in a later part of this video because that's a little bit more of a niche thing. Basically, my plan here is to go from 0 to streaming ASAP with just the most basic setup, and then I'll go over each section in details. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and create a stream, and that's pretty straightforward. You just click create a new stream, and you can give it a name of whatever you would like. I'm just going to call this my first stream, yay. And the only setting on this screen is the required preview before going live, and you can always change that later. And so we'll get into that in a little bit. But that's it, you've made a stream. And so now, once you make it, you come to this page, which has tabs or different things you can update on your stream. If I click the main word Multistreamer, I always come back to the index page, and you'll see here I now have a stream listed. It has a red dot because it's not streaming right now. And I can get back to, if I click dashboard, that takes me to this tab, of my overall stream settings. There's also a link for accessing chat and the chat, embedding a chat widget, and deleting the stream. Deleting the stream is pretty straightforward. You click it, and then it confirms if you actually want to delete it or not. And yeah, that's basically making a stream. And the important part to the streams here are your stream key. But we'll go over setting up I guess you know what? I can go ahead and set up OBS with this right now. So if I switch over to OBS, and let me go ahead and just make that blank for now. I come here into settings, and you'll want to make sure that your stream type is set to a custom streaming server. And I'm going to just wipe all that out. You'll log into your Multistreamer, and you'll find on your stream, you'll look for the RTMP URL, and you'll just paste that into the URL field and the stream key. Oops, I missed. We can paste that into the key field. I'll just hit show to make sure that all looks right. Let's see, it begins with 12F and ends with F32, 12F, F32. Okay, that all looks good. And so that's how you create a stream, and then that's how you, and also how you set OBS up to connect to that stream. Right now we still don't have any accounts on this yet. So if we were to start streaming, all that would happen is the stream preview would start showing things. Okay, so we've made a stream and we've pointed OBS at that stream. So our next step is to go ahead and start associating accounts with the stream. Now earlier in the video I mentioned that you can add accounts while changing your stream settings, and this is where you do it, is this accounts tab. So for instance, let's say I realize I forgot to add a Twitch account. Well, I have links down here to add a new account, and if I do that, after adding, they'll automatically be checked here on this page. Anything you add on this page will automatically be associated with the stream you're currently looking at. But for now, we'll go ahead. Before I do this, let me show you. You'll notice the dashboard here has a generic title and description, and it just kind of ends. Once I have accounts on my stream, so let me do Twitch and YouTube, and I come back to the dashboard, and I didn't have to actually hit that save, just switching these tabs will also save. And now if I scroll down, I have my ideal title and description from before, but I also have settings for each streaming service. Okay, so now we have the accounts we want to use. So then this is our final step before we can start streaming, is we have to update our dashboard. Anything with a star is a required field. And you're basically, updating info for when you go live on these services. What do you want the title of your video to be? Or on Twitch, what game are you playing? On YouTube, you can do tags, your video description. YouTube has a neat feature where if you go into the YouTube interface first and make an event, you can use that event, which will ignore pretty much all these other settings. And that's useful for if you're really big in YouTube and you need very specific settings that aren't covered on here, that you can make an event first and then just use that event. We'll go ahead and so you might be wondering what is this generic title and description up here for, because these don't actually get used by any streams. This is so if you're streaming to say 3 or 4 things, there's a good chance that the title on all of them is going to be the same, or at least really similar. And so to save you from having to type in stuff again and again and again and again, you can just come up here and say like just making a demo. My description will be hey, demos. And I can hit this copy button and fill in, anything that makes sense to fill in automatically. Like, so Twitch doesn't have a description. There was no description to fill in. Didn't do anything there. Whereas YouTube has a description. And I'll set this privacy to unlisted. You do have to know what resolution and frame rate your video for YouTube is. Hopefully if you're doing streaming, like you're aware of that. And we'll turn on the low latency flag. And that's it. We've now set up our dashboard. So we're ready to start streaming from OBS. Okay, so I have OBS up and running. And it's all connected to Multistreamer, and I have all my metadata created. So I'll just go ahead and hit start streaming. And this may seem like it takes a while, but that's before your light goes green. When you start streaming, if you have required previews set to no, meaning it's going to automatically go live on everything, it has to reach out to each service and update all your metadata, so that'll take longer as you add more streams to it. There's not too much you can do about that. And I don't know why my stream preview has got a weird color on there. Interesting. But anyway, so yeah, we're streaming now. And I have I can see my preview. And if I were to say, and we'll go over some chat features later, but the chat page is also a handy way to get to links to your streams. That's what these links are right here. So we can get out of the chat page for now. And there we go. There's our video on YouTube. And Twitch is probably going to take a second and then play an ad, because Twitch has been big into ads lately. Yep, there it goes. But I am live on Twitch. I'm fairly certain of that. I'm not going to wait the whole 30 seconds just to verify that. And so, yeah, that's it. That's the basics, going from 0 to streaming. The rest of this video is going to go over other features such as the chat, making a chat widget that you can embed on your stream. I'll go into detail on every single setting for every single kind of account. And let's see here. I should have written the rest of these down. I only wrote down the first part of the video that I was going to do. Oh, I'll go over webhook functionality. You can actually have streaming notifications get pushed to a Discord channel if you like. And I'll go over permissions, like you can share streams with other users on the system. Yeah. Okay, so now that we have a stream going, I'm going to go ahead and show the chat feature. And the chat feature is pretty cool. So if I go ahead and come to this chat page, there's 2 links to this chat. You can either get here from the main page, there's a link, to your chat, or if you're already in your dashboard, there's a link to the chat there as well. So let's go to chat. And what this page does is, as messages come in on your different videos, they will appear on this chat page, and they'll by default it includes the profile picture with the little embedded icon to let you know what network it's from. So let's come into Twitch. Interesting. I don't know why on one video it's got this blue hue and on the other it doesn't. I don't usually use this counter like this. I usually just from the command line push it straight into whatever. So who knows. But anyways, and so we'll see here. Message came in from Twitch, and now down here, so I'm sorry. I should have gone over this part. There's 3 parts to this chat page. This bar on the top is your status bar. It shows you if you're live, if you're not streaming, if you ever get disconnected somehow, it'll say, hey, you're disconnected. And then over here, you'll have everything you're streaming to will be listed out with a link to go, look at the actual stream. And the number next to it is the number of live viewers. So Twitch hasn't updated yet with the fact that I'm watching it. Looks like YouTube updated a little quicker. These update about once a minute or so. The mail section is where your chat messages come in. And let me go ahead and just send a bunch of spammy messages here. There we go. As messages come in, this auto scrolls. So, you can scroll up and look at all messages, which turns auto scrolling off. Once you're back on the bottom, then it'll auto scrolls, new messages come back in. And then down here is your account picker, so you can actually chat from this page as well. So here I can choose one of my accounts that I have on here, and there's a small feature I have to do where for having your own icon show up on Twitch. I'm realizing now I forgot to do that, but hopefully by the time you're using this will show your own icon instead of just the generic. But anyways, so yeah, I'll see there's the message I sent. Hey, hey, hey. and similar to YouTube. Hey, how is it going? YouTube only pulls every couple of seconds. I forget exactly how many it is off the top of my head, but there we go. Showed up there. Looks like YouTube's having some problems here pulling my video right now. Let's see if this just... Well, it looks like that's just my browser getting out of sync or something. Interesting. But anyways, yeah. Those are the basic web chat features and how to use them. One other thing is you'll notice that there was a third account here. And whether you're streaming or not, this account is always available. This is what I refer to as the IRC account. So you can connect to Multistreamer with an IRC client and chat that way. Basically, the IRC account is an internal account that won't leave Multistreamer. People on IRC can see the messages, or other people in, like, you can share streams with other people. So let's say you have a team scenario, you can have multiple people monitoring your chat here, and you can use the IRC account to message amongst each other. Like by default, the chat widget that you can embed doesn't show IRC messages. You can have it show them, but by default it doesn't. So that's kind of what that is meant for. Is again, you've got a couple people on a stream, you're all on this page, and you can just chat amongst yourselves. So like, you know, if I type something here, it's not going to go out anywhere. You know, it's not going to show up on any of these. It's not connected to them. And a few, or I should not, it's not really a few, but one handy shortcut is, let's say you're chatting as your Twitch account. You know, I've got my Twitch account selected, and I want to send a message on my IRC account without switching to it. I can type /IRC and then my message, and that'll let me send on the IRC account without having to like switch accounts around a lot. And that's what I tend to use a lot on my team type scenarios. And yeah, I think that about covers the chat stuff. Or I should say the interactive chat stuff. Next, I'll go over the widget. Okay, so in addition to the interactive chat features, there's also what I call the chat widget. And that's a non-interactive version of the chat that's meant to embed on, maybe you can embed it on an external page if you want. You can embed it in your video. That's what I tend to use it for. And so I'll go ahead and show that off. So on your under your streams, you have a link for the chat widget, and that pulls up a page where you can configure the chat widget. And so over here on the right, you have a preview of how it's going to look. And this is just pulling in messages every 2 seconds. And it specifically mentions, like here, say, hey, there's an IRC message. By default, it won't appear because I have IRC messages on. If I go and turn that off and let that reset, wait a few seconds, and I'll see an IRC message. There's the IRC message. Yeah, so anyways, like I said, by default, that's usually set to be hidden because you know, this is meant to be embedded on OBS. You probably don't want the internal messages showing on your stream. You just want messages that people have left on your video. So you have here, this is the URL that you can copy and use in OBS or whatever. And then you have some settings you can change. Like for instance, you can have your messages fade out after so many seconds. I'll set that to 2. And you'll notice the old messages fade out after a little bit. I'm going to set that back to 0. You can change your font size, which winds up changing the size of everything, images, etc., because that's all based on the font size. So let's go make that, we can make that 8. Ooh, man, that's tiny. Set that back to the default of 16. So let's see, show profile pictures. You know, by default, you'll see I have a generic icon representing that's where the user's profile picture would be. You can have it just show the network icon instead, if you'd prefer that. Actually, I think that's a pretty cool look. I kind of like how it looks. You can, there's the hiding IRC, hiding PMs. And PMs include things like if somebody whispers to you on Twitch, you know, again, you probably don't want to see that on stream. And then you can choose whether by default messages, you'll notice they're coming in on the bottom and then scrolling up. And this isn't quite as noticeable. Let me put on a fade out here. Because once the whole thing is full, it's not really obvious like what's actually happening. So you notice messages coming on the bottom, and they'll bump old messages up, and the old messages fade away. I can instead have them come in from the top if I prefer that. So now they're coming in on the top and coming in underneath the old ones. They don't bump things up, they just move up once an old message goes away. So just whatever's more appropriate for your stream. If you to have them, you can have them coming on the bottom from the top. The last is the compact option. So one thing that tends to happen is if you're embedding this on a stream where you don't have a lot of width available, sometimes the icon and the name can get a little long, and then the person's message winds up breaking into a lot of lines because they type something long, and maybe they have like a 16 character, 20 character username. You have the icon. The compact widget changes it so that instead of the username and message starting on the same line like they are here, they'll start on different lines. And it also shrinks down the image size. It actually gets rid of the little like network icon. Let me go ahead and turn off the fade out. And so this is useful for, because you can, in fact, let me see if this will work right here. Yeah, if you get narrow, it still sort of works, since you have the message start on a new line instead of on the same line as their username. So that's what the compact widget is meant for. Is if you only have a pretty narrow space to embed this on your stream. So let me go ahead and let me go ahead and just leave that on compact. I'll have it do a short fade out, and I can hit this copy button to copy the URL. So now if I come into OBS, I can add a browser source, and I can just paste that URL. And one thing that tends to I've had happen a lot is people just accept the default width and height, and add their thing. And let me actually take off the I'm gonna take off that fade out so these messages stick around here. And let me go ahead and hit start streaming so I can start getting some Twitch messages in. I've got Twitch pulled up and off screen here so I can type something. There we go. So now I've got a message that popped up on stream. One thing that tends to happen is people will say, well, they'll put the browser source in, and they'll say, oh, that's way too big. Let me shrink this. And when they do that, everything shrinks with it because this has no idea of knowing, that OBS doesn't report, oh, I resized the browser. It just takes the output and shrinks it. So just a handy tip, if you ever do that and you're like, oh man, everything's tiny, this sucks. After you get it to the size you want, if you right click and hit transform, edit transform, notice the size you have it at. Like this is 293 by 220. Write that down, 293 220. Come into browser source, or come into your thing and hit properties and change the width and height to match that. So I should have written that down. Transform, edit 293 220. 293 220. Okay. And this is a little bit of a process. So we'll come into properties, we'll make that match. And now what's going to happen though, when we do this initially, it's going to get even smaller. It's going to be like ridiculous. But you do that. You set the properties, you come back into edit transform, and you find your size and you punch in those numbers again. So 293 220, those same numbers. And now it's the size I shrunk it to, but the text will all be correct looking. And now it's back to the original size as when I first added it, but the actual box has been shrunk down to the area I want to occupy. And yeah, that's the chat widget basically in a nutshell. Yeah. Okay, the next thing I like to go over are is that one setting we skipped earlier, that general setting, where I said, oh, we'll come back to this required preview before going live. Well, we're coming back now. So one problem that I have, I'm still working on this bug, but every once in a while, if I hit go live in OBS, I'll get some kind of error where something went wrong. And one fix for that is if you require preview before going live, that will make it so when you start streaming in OBS, it doesn't actually go live immediately. So let me show you. So I've, turned on that whole thing, the require preview. So we're gonna hit start streaming, and OBS went green way quicker than normal. And if I refresh this, I now have a go live button I can click. That was not available before. And that will actually trigger making the video go live. So this is kind of handy because you can come in here and check your stream preview and make sure everything looks good before going live. And this also, I actually highly recommend this because typically I'll get OBS set up and I'll hit, start streaming in OBS, and then I'll come in here and to hit go live, and I'll see like, oh wait, like I haven't updated any of my metadata, So I really recommend having this extra step because it lets you have one last look before you actually hit the true go live button. So yeah, I'll go ahead and hit go live. And now all my streams and things are getting created. And if there were any, the other reason I recommend this is if there is a problem making a stream for some reason, I don't have a way to send a message to OBS with what the problem is, but I do have a way to display the problem here in the web interface in this box at the top of the screen. It'll go red and it'll say what network had a problem and what the problem was. So again, I really recommend requiring the preview before going live. That's a really nice setting. And something I didn't go over earlier is whether or not you have the preview enabled, you can always use the web interface to stop pushing video. And OBS will continue streaming. So I've hit stop, but if I come into OBS, it's still just plugging away, doing its thing. Okay, so here I'm going to go over two things. I'm going to quickly cover the customer TMP account type, and then I'm going to cover all the different settings for all the different kinds of accounts. So when you add a new custom RTMP, you get the screen where you can give it a name. You can give it an RTMP URL. If you have some service that gives you a URL and a key, you can join them together with a slash. Like if it was something like RTMP : server.com/stream, and then let's say the key was, slash, it was like my key, like my_key or something, you would just, do a slash and then my_key, whatever that key is. That's how you like make an RTM, like combine your key and URL into one thing. You just use a slash. It's real easy, real easy. The share, so those are the only two required fields, the name and the actual URL to stream to. The shareable URL, presumably you're streaming to some kind of service that you can actually, watch this video on. You can plug in, the URL to go watch it here, and that'll show up in the chat window with the, with the view count thing. It'll always say unknown because I don't have a way to get a view count or comments or anything for custom RTMP. But it will have that link. If you don't have the shareable URL, it just won't be a clickable link. It'll still say that you're streaming and all that. So then let's go ahead and I'm just gonna go ahead and add all my accounts here so that my dashboard shows all the settings, and I'm just gonna go over every single one. So when you stream to Facebook, you have a title and description. That's pretty straightforward. The description is what people will see in their feeds initially. They won't see they only see the title once they click into the video. So the description is typically I usually use the description more like my title, or just whatever I want to have in a post, like, oh hey, today we're doing this, come and watch it, blah blah blah. On Facebook, you can stream to your own profile and pages you admin, groups you admin, events you admin, and that'll pop up here in the profile page, drop down. Under privacy, you have your standard privacy settings. You can stream it. You can make videos only visible to yourself. That's really useful for when you're first testing things out and making sure it all works okay. You can make sure that the video is going to Facebook. Otherwise, this is all pretty straightforward. The continuous setting. So Facebook has two kinds of live videos. It's what they call regular and continuous, or ambient. They kind of use those two terms interchangeably, continuous, ambient. I went with continuous. And the difference is a continuous video is meant for a very long haul video. And a regular is not. So regular is limited to 4 hours. However, a regular live video will be saved for replays. It will notify your friends you've gone live, or anybody that's following your page that wants notifications, they'll get them. The continuous video, you can go on for as long as you like, but it will not notify people that you've gone live, and it will not save it. So the continuous is good for if you're doing maybe a 24-hour marathon of something, but most of the time you'll want to use the regular video and just keep an eye on the clock. If you are doing let's say you're streaming to Facebook and a custom RTMP to your own site, if you hit that 4-hour mark, the Facebook video will stop, but any other streams will continue working. It's not gonna completely break the whole thing or anything like that. It'll keep chugging. Sticky mode is one I almost want to take out because it's such a very, 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 very specific situation that, I think I'm going to change how this works a little bit. The idea goes, let's say you're doing a 24-hour video and you want to, you don't want to make a new, by default, every time you start streaming, you're going to make a new video. But if you're doing a 24-hour thing and you're worried about getting disconnected, that's what sticky mode is for. You can it'll remember the ID of the last video you used and stream to that. However, I think I'm going to change this at a future release to operate how the YouTube events work. So instead of having a sticky mode, you could have a list of, you can pre-create an event in Facebook, and I'll have it so you can choose that drop down. And I'll have a button for don't end video if I disconnect, something like that. Because again, it's such a specific situation. But anyways, for now though, it's called sticky mode. 99.99999% of the time, you'll want that on no. So, Mixer accounts, you have your stream title and game, pretty straightforward. Mixer has a option where you can choose your target audience. And yeah, that's all the Mixer settings. Those are pretty easy. And Twitch settings also real easy. Title, game, that's it. And then YouTube is a good number of settings. So you have your title and description. You can put in tags for your video, 1 per line. I forget what the limit is. I don't check that. So just make sure you don't use a crazy, ridiculous number of tags. On YouTube, you have 3 privacy settings: private, meaning only you can see it; unlisted, public. One thing you have to do is you have to choose when you start streaming to YouTube, you have to tell it what resolution and frame rate you're streaming at. And I haven't thought of a good way of how to have Multistreamer detect what you're doing and then just pick the right thing. So you do have to tell it what your resolution and frame rate are. Category, pretty straightforward. You just get a drop down of categories and you pick the right one. If you've made, and I probably have a bunch of weird things in here. YouTube supports what's called an event, where you can log into your live dashboard and create an event for later. And if you want to go that route, you can do that and then come into on your dashboard, you choose that event. When you do that, it will ignore the title, description, tags, privacy, and category, because presumably you've already set that up on your event. The only thing that really gets used here is the resolution and frame rate. And then there's a checkbox. YouTube has what they call low latency mode. So if your stream is focused on interactivity, that's a useful thing to have on. And yeah, those are all the different settings for all the different kinds of accounts. Okay, next I'm going to go over webhooks. A webhook is a generic term for having a web app push data to some other service, some other third-party service. Out of the box, Multistreamer supports Discord webhooks, so you can have events get posted to a Discord channel, and then you can also have it just send raw data and write your own thing to take in those webhooks and do stuff with them. And I'm just going to go over the Discord ones. They're really pretty easy. So if you come into your stream and click webhooks, you'll be able to make new webhooks by just putting in a URL and choosing a type and choosing what events you want to be posted into your Discord channel. So if I come here to Discord, I'm going to log into some server. Let's turn off streamer mode. Come into webhooks. And yeah, so I'm sorry. So basically, you choose your Discord, server, whatever you call it, find a channel you want messages to go to, and create a webhook. And you'll get a that's right, we'll choose our channel. The name doesn't really matter, that's gonna get overwritten. So I'll just keep that SpideyBot, call it whatever. And then I feel like I should be seeing, oh, okay. Sorry, I've got my Discord window real tiny for recording all this. Anyways, okay, so there's a webhook URL. So we'll just copy that, come back into Multistreamer, paste. Under notes, you can just type any notes, that are helpful for you. So I'll just my server dev spam channel. And for now, I'll go ahead and keep all the different kind of events. You can have messages come in when you start streaming, when you stop streaming, and do comment it'll grab comments that people leave on Twitch or Facebook or YouTube or whatever, and put them into your Discord channel. So I'm going to save that. And now you'll see here I have a webhook created. To delete a webhook, just clear that URL field out and then hit save and it'll delete it. I don't have a separate delete button. I didn't bother with that. So yeah, let's go and show it in action. So on Discord, I am in the dev spam channel. Let me go ahead and pull this up, hit start streaming. And I think I still have the preview on. Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and hit go live. Now if I go into Discord, some messages came in. You notice the name was set to John. It's set to your Multistreamer login name. With John is now streaming and links to the stream. So links to my Twitch, a link to my YouTube. Now if somebody leaves, I'll go and leave a comment on Twitch. And it will pop into the Discord virtually immediately. That was fast. With username @Twitch, and then the message that they left. And then similar to YouTube, let me click my YouTube link here. And I'll leave a message. Like I said, YouTube's never as fast, but it's still pretty quick. That was only a few seconds. And yeah, and then let me go ahead and hit stop pushing. Oh, as soon as I hit that, I got the message, John has stopped streaming. So yeah, that's the Discord integration. It's pretty simple, but it's pretty useful if you have a channel maybe you and some friends hang out in, and you want an easy way to let people know you're streaming without you having to go in and copy paste a bunch of links all over the place. You can make a webhook for a channel, just have it post. There's no checks on if people are using the same webhook URL on their streams. So for instance, maybe you have a team of people You can make one webhook and share it with all of them, or you can make multiple webhooks for all your channels, and each one, everybody gets their own webhook, But the idea goes like, you can maybe have if you have a group of people that stream, you could have them all post to the same channel, if you have like a big following or something like that, and get nice little automated notifications in there. And then, and then I have documentation on the wiki for this project for the raw webhook to show you what kind of information is in there. And again, you can write something in PHP that'll, receive the webhook, because it's just a HTTP post request with a bunch of JSON in it. So you can write something in like PHP or Python or, whatever programming language you like. That can, it's pretty easy to write something to receive the webhooks, take that data and do something with it, whether it's, tweet on Twitter or, send a message to a like Facebook Messenger group or something, all kinds of things. It's really up to you. Like I said, the only thing I have built in right now is the easy mode Discord, and it's a little bit limited. Like it just uses your Multistreamer login name. I don't have a field for say it's this user, and I'm not sure really what a good way to do that is. And again, that's where the raw webhook comes in. Like if you really want to customize it, learn just enough PHP or something to receive the raw webhook and do stuff with it. But yeah, that's webhooks. Okay, the next thing I'm going to go over is stream permissions. So you can share your streams you create with other users on the system. So right now I just have one other person named Test, and I can choose to share like my chat, just my streams chat with them, and I can also choose to share stream metadata permissions. Now, no matter what you choose here, the only thing they'll possibly be able to see is the dashboard or your chat. They won't be able to add or remove accounts from your stream. They can't change webhooks. They can't change permissions, nothing like that. Everything's limited to the dashboard or the chat. So chat permissions. If you let somebody view the chat, when they log in, they'll get a link on their screen. Basically under streams, they'll have the name of the stream and then parentheses shared by so-and-so, and they'll have links for the chat and chat widget. They will not have links for dashboard or delete stream. So let's see here. View chat will let them read, the incoming chat messages. They can chat using their own accounts on, whatever networks you're streaming to. So if they have their own Twitch account, that they've added to their profile, they'll be able to chat with that. But they won't be able to chat with your accounts that you're streaming with. Whereas if you choose right chat, whatever accounts you're streaming with, they will be able to chat as them. And so that's useful for a team scenario where maybe, you have this one account that a couple people will chat as, right? That's precisely what that's for. Metadata permissions, you can let people view your stream metadata. So if you give them that, it's similar to how the view chat works. They'll get a link on the on their page. They'll have your stream name, parentheses shared by so-and-so, and they'll have a link for dashboard. When they click it, they'll only be able to come to the dashboard, and they'll only be able to view the current settings. They do not get to view the stream key or anything like that. Strictly settings. They can't even view the chat if you don't if you haven't given them chat permissions. Like these links will just not be there. If you give them the edit metadata permissions, I'm not clicking any of the right things. If you give them edit metadata, then they'll be able to come into here and they'll have access to things like the stream key. So this is useful if you just want to have a preset kind of group of accounts you want a couple different people to stream to. They'll have access. So yeah, they'll have access to stream key. I think I gotta double check this, but I think I said if you have edit metadata, you can at least view the chat, whether or not somebody's explicitly giving you the chat. Maybe not. I'll have to double check how that works again because it's been a bit. And yeah, they'll be able to come down here and edit all these settings before you go live. And if you do have the preview required if you have the preview required setting on, they'll be able to, you know, look at the preview and hit the go live button for you. And yeah, those are the different permissions you can set up for other people with accounts on the system. So it's possible to share accounts with other users on the system. From the main Multistreamer page, if you come down to accounts, not every account type supports this. For instance, I decided not to let people share their Facebook accounts because that sounds like an awful idea. Because with Facebook you can stream to your own profile and things like that. The idea of sharing accounts is if you have a team that you all stream to the same account, you can do that. So, for instance, if I wanted to share my Twitch account with somebody on the system, I can just click share, put a checkbox next to their name, and now they can use that account pretty much like it was their own. They can add it to streams, they can use it when chatting. If I make a stream where I've shared, I've let them view chat, if I shared an account with them, they can chat as that account. It's like basically you're letting somebody own that account. They can't delete it or anything. They can like unshare it from themselves. Like they can go in and say like, no, I don't want this account anymore and get rid of it from their view. But only you can, ultimately delete it. Otherwise, though, they virtually own it when you do that. So make sure that, if you share accounts that, you know what you're doing. Because if you just share it willy-nilly, like people have complete access to your account. Okay, I'm gonna go over the IRC interface. The IRC interface is pretty neat. It's a way to, you can monitor, what streams are currently streaming. You can keep up with comments coming in. You can actually write comments to your various streams. Basically, it's a one-for-one, feature parity with the web chat. Only main difference is that certain things that are graphical just won't work. Like you won't see user icons, but otherwise anything you can do with the web chat, you can do with the IRC interface. So on the main Multistreamer page, you'll have some information about how to connect with IRC, like your host name and port. So let me go ahead and pull up an IRC client. And basically this is going to depend on your client. Things that are important are making sure your nickname is set to your username. Other fields related to your name, like real name, username, those don't really matter. And so make sure you specify your hostname, port, and whether or not you need SSL based on, whatever's on this page. It might say SSL enabled, it might have a different port number. As far as specifying your password, you cannot use NixServe. I do not support NixServe. You can either use what's called a server password, or if your client supports SASL, this client that I'm using here is kind of a not that great one. It doesn't support SASL, at least not out of the box. Maybe there's a plugin or something. I haven't investigated that much. But anyways, if it supports SASL, SASL, you can use that. Just not NixServe. So then you're going to get connected, and once you're connected, I don't really spit out a lot of like ridiculous info like some IRC servers do. I just spit out the basics. But I'm logged in, so if I list my rooms, I can see that stream that I made earlier. And what's interesting is usually there's only one user in the room, but I think because I have my chat widget pulled up, that counts as a user in the room. So like I'm already in there, which is kind of interesting. But anyways, if I go and enter the room, there's always a user in every room called root, and that's the user that updates the topic and things like that. And so the room topic will have information on whether or not you're streaming. It'll have links to your streams when you are streaming. So yeah, when I first come in, there's really not a lot going on. I can chat just as if it were a normal chat room. And these messages, in fact, let me go and pull that up. Those IRC messages will show up to people watching your chat with the web interface. So if I say like, hey, there it goes. So that's kind of cool. And yeah, that's okay. So there's the basic chat. Let me go ahead and start streaming something here. Let's see, where did I put that? Go and reset all that. And let me go ahead and go to my dashboard, hit go live. Now, under my, sorry, it's getting late. I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing. Under XChat, the room topic updated. It says here root has changed its topic to status live, and then links to my Twitch and my YouTube. And 2 bots enter the room, Twitch-JPRJRDev and YouTube-Game.2Dev. So basically each of these bots represents an account that's currently streaming, and they're always network-username. So if I were to say pull up, I'll pull up the YouTube video. And if I were to type a message here, it will actually appear in the IRC room. So there's my, man, I really don't like, I need to find, I should have picked a better client before making this part of the video, but anyways. And these messages always come in with, name-network. So there's the, game that tune, YouTube, hey there. And I'm going to go and pull up the Twitch, because the Twitch is always way faster for the chat. So this is from Twitch, and there's JPR Twitch. This is from Twitch. Now, if I want to, by default, anything I type here won't go to either network. Like that didn't go anywhere. If I want to, say, post a message on my Twitch account that I'm streaming as, I can begin my message with the name of the bot. So if I do Twitch-JPRJRDev, if I have like a comma or a colon or something at the end, or if maybe your IRC client put an at the beginning, like that's all fine. It'll ignore all that. Let's here, put this bad boy on Twitch. And you'll notice here, my message came in, and that came from IRC. And then same thing with YouTube. So I can do, hey. And if I come here to YouTube, there it is. Let's see, if I want to know the current viewer count, I can type !view count, and those bots will tell me the current view count. If I do !help, I can get some information on different commands. So there was that view count command. The chat command is pretty handy. So like, let's say, I don't think I have multiple, I don't have multiple Twitch accounts on my dev box here, but let's say I had multiple Twitch accounts that I had access to. Either A, the account was shared with me, or B, I just associated multiple to my profile. I can do chat Twitch, and it'll list what Twitch accounts I have. In this case, I'm going to get an error here because I already have, I'm already, oh wait, chat Twitch as JPRJRDev, and it's going to tell me that bot already exists. Let's say I had another account on there just named, I don't know, garbage. I could do !chat, Twitch garbage. So I'm saying I want to chat on Twitch as garbage, and it will make a relay bot named Twitch-garbage that I can use just like the existing Twitch-JPRJRDev bot. I can begin my message, adjust to it, and it will relay that message to, the right network. So we've done the chat, we've done the view count. The summon command is useful for if you have multiple people connected with IRC and you want to bring someone into your room, you can do that. So you can say like, oh, summon so-and-so, and it'll force join them into the room only if you've shared like chat permissions with them, like the ability to view the chat or write, read chat or write chat. If they don't have any permissions that you've given them, they can't even join your room. Yeah, that's the long and short of the IRC interface. I think that covers about everything. I'm racking my brain real quick trying to see if there's anything else that I didn't cover. It does support, like, if you're streaming to multiple Twitch accounts, you can still do everything you're doing here. It just makes all the usernames longer and kind of weirder, and you generally shouldn't do that anyways. Yeah, I do. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. There is one other thing. Your server owner has an option to set it up so that when you go live, if you're connected with IRC, just to auto bring you into the room. So instead of having to like type /list and find your room and join it, you can have it so when you start streaming, like you just automatically go in there. I highly recommend turning that on. It makes life pretty easy if you use the IRC interface. And so yeah, the IRC interface is nice if you want to maybe try automating some things and you've used IRC before and you're familiar with it, or if although the webhooks kind of do that, I think a little bit better now. The IRC interface is like one of the first things I wrote for this. It's also handy if, say, you're you want to keep up with the chat on some kind of device that has an IRC client, like maybe it's an older laptop that's just not very fast. But it can run an IRC client because IRC doesn't require a lot of resources. That's kind of nice, for that kind of scenario. Or maybe just a hipster and you want to use IRC, you can do it. Yeah, that's the IRC interface. Okay, so now I just want to very briefly go over some of the advanced settings. I just kind of didn't even point these out in my earlier videos, but under each, in part of the reason I didn't point this out is this actually can be disabled by whoever's running Multistreamer, so you might not see some of these fields. Every account on your dashboard has an FFmpeg args field, so when Multistreamer is streaming, what it's really doing, like way under the hood, is calling a program called FFmpeg, which is a pretty standard like command line video tool. It's on most Linuxes. You can get it for Windows. You can get it for Mac OS. And it calls it in a way that it just copies your audio and video as is. It doesn't do any processing on it. If you want, you can have this do things like transcode your stream for you. So if you need to say maybe resize your video, maybe add an image to it, overlay some text, pretty much anything you want you can do here. And that's part of why you can turn this off, because if transcoding does significantly increase the amount of CPU horsepower you need, because just copying audio video is stupid easy. Transcoding video, really puts a strain on the server. So this is something you should really only do like if you know what you're doing and really have to. So basically, and I think I have this detailed in the wiki somewhere, but when you push a video, when you hit say go live, Multistreamer calls the FFmpeg with arguments like, okay, read from this input, copy audio video as is, go to this output. The FFmpeg args only handle that part in the middle. It doesn't you can't control what it reads from. You can't control what it's going to be sending video to, because that's the whole idea of Multistreamer, is it handles all that part for you. But you can punch in how you want to encode the video. So you can do things like, and you'll have to look up FFmpeg tutorials on how to do this kind of stuff. Basically, you just have to, the things you want to remember is you need to specify a video codec and an audio codec. So like codec : video, like lib x264, bitrate, I don't know, like 2000 kilobits. Codec audio, AAC, bitrate audio, or is it AB audio bitrate? I think it's audio bitrate. 120K, right? That's a way to take the incoming video and re-encode it at a specific video bitrate, and encode the audio to AAC. Maybe you want to filter the video to resize it to maybe, I don't know, maybe 640 by 480 or something like that. Again, you'll have to look up FFmpeg examples of like re-encoding videos and really read the manuals on this stuff and get an idea of how to use FFmpeg. Like maybe try doing some test videos on the command line on your own. And for reference, the default arguments, like if you have a blank, it'll do the default. But the sort of like under the hood default is codec video copy, codec audio copy, just for reference. Let's see, another advanced feature is under advanced. So if you have some video source that you can't like tell it how to push into Multistreamer, but maybe you can pull from it, that's where the FFmpeg pull arguments are. And this one's a little bit different because this one you do have to specify your input and any kind of transform stuff you want to do. You don't specify your output. So whereas on these dashboard things, you only specify sort of the transform part of your FFmpeg command line. Here on advanced, you do have to specify your input. So you can say like -I for input, http example.com/some video.mp4, codec video copy, codec audio copy, or you could do, transcoding, like maybe what you're reading isn't properly encoded MPEG-4 file, need FFmpeg to, reread it or something. You can do stuff like that. And when you do that, once you've, put in some puller arguments and hit save, you'll have a new button on your dashboard for start puller. And so that will actually spawn the FFmpeg process with those arguments from that FFmpeg puller. Basically, it'll be, whatever you punch in here, and then specify the output as this stream. So once you hit start puller, that's kind of equivalent as if you had been pushing from OBS. So this is kind of cool because you can do things like you can pull streams from within Multistreamer. If you maybe, you can do things like combining video into one stream, all kinds of wacky stuff. Again, that also really eats up CPU. So there is an option where the whoever's running the server can like just hide this and make it not even show up if they're concerned about, their CPU usage. And if I send a blank argument, you'll notice here it says FFmpeg puller removed, and back of my dashboard, that button is now gone. And so like I said, that is useful for pulling video from some external source that you can't tell it how to push video kind of thing. Whether, you want to maybe stream a video that's on a server somewhere, like just like a static video file, you can treat it like it's a stream. If you want to pull in some other stream from Multistreamer and mess with it, all kinds of crazy stuff. Whatever FFmpeg can do, you can do it.